All right, guys, I want to welcome everyone back to Stock Talk on August 21st. Today is Tuesday, and the first thing I'm pretty sure almost everyone noticed was that the S&P 500 did make the all-time high. So you guys can see intraday on the intraday chart, we have a light blue line situated at 286.98. We managed to cross it, break it, but then we came back and pretty much took away the gains that were made today. So the first thing is, we talked about it in the weekend stock talk, in which the stock market obviously is bullish, and that we had a good area in which, and we had a good time period in which we crossed that resistance line. So today we did cross it, but you guys can see how we managed to come down basically the last few hours, and then after market we're still continuously making lows. So what is it in the long run that we're looking at? Well, the long run is, you guys can see today we made a tail candle at the resistance area that usually signals a short-term downtrend. Even in a bull market like this one, we could come down in the near future. So that was the turn signal that we are looking for, and I do expect the market to start dropping to which area. So you guys know that there is an area of support at 284. That is a very likely area to hit if the markets do start trending lower, as I would expect. Now, the next area of support, if that one doesn't hold, would be around this boxed area, which would be a gap fill area from around 282 to 283. Regardless, you guys can see that there are a lot of support areas because we've been on an uptrend. And because we've been bullish for quite some time, and now that we've crossed the resistance, the bullish need, quote unquote, is met. What does that mean? Well, we broke the all-time high. That was the bullish case. Now, we always have to evaluate the bearish case, and now that we do see that sign of a trend change, the likely move would be to the downside. Does it have to go down? It doesn't. It could certainly still go towards the side, but right now we're seeing that trend in which we're starting to arch downwards. So keep that in mind in the next few days. Now, I think some of you were talking about Ben. I was surprised to see TVIX, or tracking volatility, going from red to green. I was expecting it to drop more than 8 to 10%. So that was also a very interesting scenario that I was watching as well. You guys can see intraday TVIX held this line very well, and you know that should be a question mark in your head, in which you're like, well, what's going on? Well, if you correlate this with the S&P 500, you would have known that, well, you guys can see that how we were continuing going upwards. Volatility didn't budge that much. That's a question mark that you should put in the back of your head. And then when it started dipping, you did see volatility reacting to that move. So you guys kind of got, some hints during the trading day. Now the hints are starting to play out as it's occurring. So it looks like markets are heading downwards for the time being. Perfectly normal in a bull market. We've satisfied the bullish case. Now let's satisfy some of the bears so that they have something to say. So that's how it is, and we'll just take it one step at a time. So what was the big picture? The big picture is we broke all-time highs, and then it's a good time perhaps to start releasing those shares, right? We talked about when we see that trend change signal, especially at such a major resistance area, that's where you could start releasing some of your shares. Now, let's look at other markets. So let's take a look at commodities /CL, or crude oil futures. Now, you guys can see crude oil made a massive up move to the, as a matter of fact, it made it over my resistance area, 65.85. I think I will remove that in a moment. But regardless, you guys can see that crude oil did push higher. And the question is, did we push high enough so that we remove the bearish case off the table? And the answer is No, unfortunately not. As you guys see, this candle situated here, we could still move horizontally or perhaps even higher to the around 66.50 mark. As long as we close under 66.50 under a daily mark, the bearish pattern is still there and crude oil is still susceptible for that major move down. So if you guys are watching and trying to short crude oil, well, you guys know where to enter, right? If you wanted to enter, of course. So crude oil, short term, we talked about short term uptrends in the last video. Long term, it should be a bearish pattern playing out to the downside. All right, guys, before I go any further, please hit that like button. As always, if you guys do enjoy these videos, we're going to tackle all of your tickers as always. In the meantime, just hit that like button if you like it. If you didn't like it, like I always say, no problem. Hopefully you guys like it in the future. Hopefully you benefit from it some point in time. So let's move on to /NG or natural gas. Now, this is a pattern that we've talked about over and over and over again, because we said natural gas does what? When it was coming down, people thought, what? Natural gas run is over. What did I say? No, the bullish case is still on the table, and that there's a probable move that we're consolidating horizontally for another move to the resistance area at 2.989. Guys, once again, I don't change these lines, and if I do change these lines, you guys see it during, my stock talks most of the time. And here, it's the resistance. We closed right at the resistance, right where we expected to close. So right now, the question is, do we see any sign of reversal from the resistance? The answer is no. Is this a good time to take profits if you're in the ticker UGAZ? The answer has to be yes, a resounding yes. We're at the resistance area. So that's just something for you guys to watch. Sure, we have the ability to cross the resistance area, but if and when we do cross that, we just want to be cautious, because then we need to, at the very least, confirm that we've crossed that resistance area. So that ticker that I was just talking about that follows natural gas is UGAZ. You guys can see that we're once again hitting that resistance area, correlating with /NG, which is around $69.60. So we closed out. We actually hit it very close today. We hit it during this day over here. So all right. Now, the last one I'm going to go over, and I'm kind of happy that, even though I wasn't here yesterday for a stock talk, I'm kind of happy that we're here today, because yesterday, not much movement in the markets in terms of, yes, we had an update, but the analysis wasn't going to change from the weekend stock talk. So it didn't really, it wasn't a big shift. Today, we're seeing that bigger shift, and hence, it's more important, I guess, to talk about today's trend. Now, for gold, we talked about this potential reversal area. You guys can see I've drawn in a support area now, showing that the market has put in a significant area of support. Of course, if market designates a new support, who am I to judge the market, right? The market will tell the story. We only have to follow the story until the very end. So you guys can see right now, gold is on a reversal back up. So one thing you guys want to be cautious about is, yes, there's a reversal, but we're nearing the 20-period moving average and nearing the resistance line, 1211. That's just something to be cautious about if you're in gold. However, if you did go in gold and you took part in it, whether you took part in it once you saw this candle or whatnot, you've made over 10% by now. You're okay, but you just want to be cautious once again. Again, your daily opens and closes are very important in terms of where you want to invest. So let's take a look at your tickers. We're going to start with Moviegoer with my thoughts on Google. So the one thing about Google is, you guys can see Google has had a rather incredible run. And the problem with Google right now, as with some of the other stocks right now, is we've had this massive up move already. The up move has been built in, and the markets are now trending downwards. So if it's trending downwards, chances are Google's not going to be the oddball, unless there's some catalyst or news going on, but it's not going to be the oddball going up while the rest of the market will start trending lower. So the chances are right now we got rejected the 20-period moving average. I would expect this one to continue on lower just a bit. We've had an up run. Like all good stocks, it needs to come down and rest before that next bullish run. So I would wait for that to pan out. Space Ghost, let's take a look at AMD. So AMD, you asked if we are on a breakout pattern. So let's take a look intraday at what happened with AMD. And you guys can see AMD continues to be extremely bullish. And this bullishness, in my opinion, is going to carry over the $20 mark, perhaps even more. But after we factor in this drop, whatever drop is occurring right, you guys can see the stocks are dropping right now. So right now it's at trading probably around 2022, but AMD's obviously bullish. We just need the markets to settle down before that possible entry into AMD. You guys can see we broke all-time resistances today, and now we're coming down just with the rest of the markets. Pretty normal pattern as it is. All right, I think another one you guys want to talk about was CRON. And for CRON, I've actually changed quite a bit of lines. And the one thing I changed was the wedge pattern. The wedge pattern that played out to the downside is no longer there, and we are now breaking above. So you guys might be like, well, Kevin, is this a good time to look into CRON? And, if you want to take that position, you could. Today we pretty much gapped higher, but we made a flat candle for the most part. And the problem with this is I can see it again 50-50 both ways, in which I can see it going higher, but then look at the drop. If it does drop, even if it drops to the 20-period moving average, that's a 5 to 10% drop. I don't know if you're comfortable risking that 5 to 10%. That's just something you want to be cautious about. So while I'm beginning to start liking this pattern, I want more information. So all right, Eric, let's take a look at Shop. So this is Shopify. So Shopify is not good right now. It's on a downtrend. We're looking at the yearly chart, and you guys can see I've had a support line over here situated at 116.84. Doesn't mean we have to get all the way down there, although I would like for it to come down there if it could, for a possible entry point if you're looking at it. But right now we're at the 200-period moving average. Is there any sign of reversal? The answer has to be no. There is no sign of reversal, and therefore we expect this one to continue pushing down until we see that sign. So just wait on this one. Be patient. GERP. Not sure if I've done this already, but can I take a look at GSP? I'll take a look at one of your tickers. And the problem with this ticker is you guys can see how scattered these boxes, candlesticks are. And that's because there's too low volume. The volume is too low, and therefore it's way too easily manipulated, and therefore not something I would like to participate in. Of course, this is on. If you guys are looking at the trend, this looks like a bull flag. However, because of the low volume, it's not so many things that you can do with it. And you guys can see that generally this moves rather slowly day by day. So I don't think this is perhaps one that you want to look at too. Just depends. But thank you for your submission. All right, what's next? Can I look at Alibaba? Yeah, so Alibaba, Luis. All right, so Alibaba has had this support. You guys can see the support trend at 167.18, and I think a lot of you guys were like, well, Kevin, can you please look at this for me, because I have a put on it. When should I cover or whatnot? And therefore you guys can see that we had a support area, and now it's bouncing up. However, chances are this one might come down a little bit again, perhaps do that double bottom. It doesn't have to get all the way back to its previous low, but as you can see, we're still kind of getting rejected at the 20-period moving average. We have earnings coming up, so at the very least I would wait for this to pan out perhaps and see what happens. This is actually coming up in 2 days, so yeah, I would wait for that to occur before going into this one. Although I know what you're looking at, we're near the support area, so I hear you. And then Addy Boy GSM, guys, we have a lot of tickers to go over because we have to make up for yesterday, right? So are you guys excited? So GSM, here you guys go. Earnings were was it this morning, today, or yesterday? Let's take a look. Oh wow. Okay, so this is why I don't like to play earnings. And as you guys can see, earnings, here we go, massive move down to 735. So well, actually, what price is it trading right now? That's interesting. It's actually higher than 730. 760. So, you know, this one continuously going lower. There's really no sign of reversal. You know, you guys can see how we're going down. Rejection of the 20-period moving average, down. Rejection of the 20-period down. Now, rejection of the 50-period moving average. This is on a downtrend and therefore not something we could actively invest in unless you were shorting this one. If you've been shorting this one, congratulations. Okay, so Tango, Alibaba. So yeah, I talked about that one. So hopefully that analysis helps. A lot of people like the stock. Air Stoof, amazing analysis. Thank you. Would you please take a look at the FANG ticker FNGU in the next video? So with the FANG stocks, we've had some trouble, and you guys can see that has been kind of holding the NASDAQ down. Not necessarily today, but in the past couple of days, while the Dow was, continuously edging higher, the FANG stocks, kind of pushing a little lower. So you guys can see that we've had a bull run followed by a bull flag pattern. And right now, while this trend is okay, you guys can see that we were nearing the bottom. When we were nearing the bottom, we started reversing. This is a very steep pattern. And while, you could trade it, this is not the optimal time, in my opinion, to go into this one right now. It's not the best time. Remember, the best time has to be at the bottom of the support line. In addition, this area of support, it could hold. Actually, I'm going to remove this flag line and start drawing this in because this is more representative. And, there's just not, again, you guys can see from this pattern, the margin profit is getting a little slimmer. So, yeah, keep that in mind. If the markets do push up, we expect this one to break above, but not right now. All right, Rico. Okay, so Rico, good job on a couple of the tickers that you talked about. So one of which was IQ. You talked about IQ and MU, and both of which headed higher in the past couple of days. As a matter of fact, MU headed over $50 today before it kind of retraced back a little bit. So great job, Rico. Just shout out. And then Evan, SOXL. Well, you are a genius. You are so right about not getting into SOXL in the 160s. It was down yesterday where I drew the box. Is it time to get in now? So based off of yesterday, we made some tail candles near the support area, and that was and could have been the time to get in. However, if the markets do start pushing down as we are seeing right now, we could still see the optimal buy area be more appealing, especially since we made this up move of 6% nearly today. So remember, the optimal buy area, this boxed area, is 122 to 135. Now, here's a scenario in which, let's say, the stock, the market recovers and SOXL continues to edge higher. In that case, you miss the up move. You might be a little sad, but there's always a trade ahead of you, right? There's always a trade. Let the trade come to you instead of you forcing a trade. Just keep that in mind. One of the concepts that I talk about in the course as well. So, be a little patient in the meantime. This is the boxed area. We're over the boxed area, getting less appealing. All right, Dozy. Take a look at TEVA. So TEVA is a pharmaceutical company, as you guys can see. And the thing about TEVA is people start looking at stocks or TEVA after they've made that major up move and after they made that major down move. And chances are, if you're looking at those points after that move, sometimes there's a period of consolidation. There's a period in which it goes down. There's a period in which it goes up. The move is not as dramatic. You guys can see that we've had a period of up move. What's the next probable move? Well, sure, it can continue higher, but the thing is, once it goes up this much, at the very least, we want it to consolidate horizontally before that next possible leg up. For example, I bet no one was talking about TEVA that much when we were doing this down here, right? things were getting a little boring. It might be a little calmer. It's coming down a little, not that much interest. What happens when this move occurred? This move occurred, and all of a sudden, interest comes in, but unfortunately, the move already occurred. So, this is just something to keep in mind. Of course, what goes up can continue to go up, but you just got to factor that in. Zhang, thank you, Genius. Yeah, thank you for your comment and your compliments, as always. And then we'll take a look at NOW, XJX. So NOW, while I like this uptrend, you guys can see that today we're getting rejected at the 20-period moving average, showing that, again, this one is on a short-term, perhaps downtrend. It doesn't have to get to the, the 150-period moving average. You guys can see that we've held a constant support at this ascending low. But again, this one is one that I would wait. You guys can see that we didn't really hit it this time around. There's potential for it to drop to around 177.50 before we reevaluate it. Yeah, just wait on this one, though I like the pattern. I like it. Colin, thank you. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for the video. You're welcome. Happy to do it as always. And K9, can you please look at the ticker KWEB? No Chinese banks. Thumbs up. Looking for close to the bottom. Well, so if you're looking at this one, this ETF, it did make that reversal area down here. Now, okay, so you guys can see that it's been on a rather rapid downtrend. We found support pretty much over here. So I think there could be a short term. It could continue on higher. Remember the gold chart, guys? The gold chart kind of looked like this, where it was dropping, and then all of a sudden we started, kind of going up just a tad bit. This one's okay, but you need to set a stop loss on this one, just in case you're wrong. If you're playing that retracement, you need to set a stop loss. All right, and then finally, the last ticker, just kidding. This will not be the last ticker. GXC is one that was called out on Facebook. So GXC, this is another Chinese kind of tracking ETF. And this one kind of goes by the previous chart, right? In which, this is on a declining pattern. We could certainly, go up a little bit, even go sideways a little bit before that next move down. There's just not enough information, not enough sign of reversal for this one to start edging higher. So I would just be cautious on this one. Once again, if you're in this one, you have to set a stop loss. Draxon, Tesla. Now Tesla is one that has been extremely interesting. As you guys see, I have trend lines everywhere, and I need to take off some of these trend lines. So the deal with Tesla is, the first thing I need you guys to see is, you guys can see this ascending low that I made. I drew this in, I believe, during the weekend or sometime during then, and I talked about it, in which, if we manage to hold the support area, then we could potentially go higher. But because Tesla is being, inundated with a lot of news items, whether it's investigations or just enthusiasm, or the company going private, whatever it is, there's so many factors going on that technicals are not telling that much of a story. And you guys can see how lopsided this chart goes. While one day it could go up significantly, the next day it could drop significantly. We saw it drop under $300 just yesterday or a couple days ago, and then now we're back at 321. So while it could be appealing for some people, I just don't like this choppiness because it doesn't follow many technicals at the moment. And with that, thank you everyone for watching these videos. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already to get up-to-date channel information. In the meantime, see you guys tomorrow, Wednesday, for another Stock Talk. Let's check back on the SPY really quick just to see what is going on. I'm really curious as to see. Yeah, so here you go. Yeah, continuing to decline as we expected. And let's take a look at volatility. Yep, still up there. So, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. See you guys tomorrow, and Happy trading.